What's up, everyone, and welcome. In this episode, we're going to talk about the most prevalent ransomware groups. I think you'll be surprised at just some of the names here. The news-catching ransomware gangs like Revil or Lockbit are certainly causing havoc, but they really are only the tip of the iceberg, as they say. Understanding how Revil and Lockbit work are certainly important, but the gangs we don't hear about are just as, if not more, dangerous for us. If we don't understand how they work, that is. What is their preferred method of attack? Is it Microsoft Exchange, Zoho, VPNs, RDP and SSH, VMware vCenter exploits? We need to be on top of all of these attack vectors. That's why I'm really happy that you're subscribed to my channel, and I see you guys watching my episodes. Now, I've done episodes on each one of the attack vectors I just mentioned, and I will continue to do more, to help me understand these topics in more depth, as well as to help you. Maybe give you a different perspective or some impulses that'll fill in any gaps that you might have.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
While there seem to be legions of ransomware gangs, it turns out that just a handful of ransomware-as-a-service actors dominate the entire ecosystem of encryption-attack threats. In fact, just 3 ransomware families, none of them household names, make up 64% of all threats detected, according to the telemetry data collected by Bitdefender during August. There's WannaCryptor, Stop Deja Vu, which I did an episode on, and Phobos. A report from Bitdefender out this week looked at 19.8 million malware detections collected by its telemetry to find insights about the current ransomware threat landscape. The team of analysts were able to identify a total of 250 different ransomware families. 250 different ransomware families. But just 3 dominated the field in terms of sheer attack volume. WannaCryptor accounted for a full 30% of threats, Stop and Deja Vu was behind with 19%, and Phobos trailed just behind with 15%. Now, I did an episode on Stop Deja Vu. If you want to know how they work and learn how to stop their tactics and procedures, then I highly recommend you watch the episode. The link is above and pinned in the comment section below. None of these has made loads of headlines with high-profile attacks, but Phobos was listed as a top ransomware threat in a joint cybersecurity advisory put out by the U.S. government ahead of Labor Day weekend. You might remember my pre-Labor Day weekend insomnia episode. The feds at the time said that threat actors were likely to strike during the holiday, while most workers were on vacation, partying, and having fun. Others on Bitdefender's list include BearCrypt, Locker, Avedon, BrainCrypt, GoldenEye, Cerber, and Lockbit. In terms of this best of the rest group, it should be noted that Avedon announced it was releasing decryptors in June and said it was shutting down its ransomware-as-a-service operations. Apparently, though, its plans changed since it was highly active in August.
Guess who? Guess again. You're getting warmer. That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Lockbit, one of the better-known names on the list, was behind a late August attack on Bangkok Airways and published the sensitive files after the airline refused to pay up. The attack was reportedly linked to an Accenture breach earlier in the month. Now, I also did an episode on that attack against Bangkok Airlines as well. The link is above and, of course, pinned in the comment section below. Now, Cerber was also listed in an August SonicWall analysis as one of the top threats for the first half of 2021. That same report fingered the highly active Ryuk as leading the way in terms of attack volume, with the older Samsam gang rounding out the top 3. The latter 2 don't make Bitdefender's top 10, however. With headlines that groups like Revil, Ragnar Locker, Black Matter, and Conti make, one would think their attacks represent the greatest threat to businesses, but those attacks are rare and highly targeted. They go after ransoms in the millions of dollars and take weeks or even months of recon and preparation. But higher volume attacks are instead carried out by ransomware affiliates looking for quick strikes and lower hanging fruit, many of them aimed at smaller businesses. Opportunistic adversaries and ransomware-as-a-service groups will represent a higher percentage compared to groups that are more selective about their targets, since they prefer more volume instead of higher value, the report said.
Golly, that sounds simple enough.
Now, many of the attacks might be limited or less impactful. The report analyzed detected malware rather than the extent of the infections within a given company, the researchers added. The rank of industries most targeted by ransomware is dominated by telecommunications companies, with 51% of ransomware threats detected. Telecommunication services are particularly high as the customers are included within the detections, the analysis explained. Lumbering agent legacy organizations like utilities only accounted for 1% of threats detected, and tech companies were only targeted by 7% of ransomware threats, the report showed. Now, I would say that for utilities, it's known that many threat actors, specifically out of Russia, know not to attack critical infrastructure companies. Sometimes it happens out of, a mistake. There was JBS, there was the pipeline, but in general, utilities or infrastructure-based companies, critical infrastructure-based companies, are usually left alone. That's why I believe it's only 1%. Now, when it comes to geography, the report put the U.S. at the top of the list of countries being bombarded by ransomware, accounting for a full 30% of the detections. India and Brazil follow, making up 17% and 15% respectively. If you've seen my weeklies and my dailies, you'll know that I have been putting in more articles about attacks, let's say in Germany or the UK or New Zealand, whether it's with Trojans or whether it's actual ransomware attacks, like for example against the German election organization. It is increasing throughout Europe, partially because within the United States, companies are taking it more serious. The U.S. government is getting more involved, so these threat actors are spreading out even more. Brazil is definitely in there. We've seen a number of attacks. Portugal, Spain, Italy, etc. Now, while detection isn't the same as an infection, the results show the ransomware game continues to be dominated by a handful of ransomware-as-a-service groups launching mass attacks on unsuspecting users and organizations. So, what did we learn? Well, the news-catching ransomware gangs are certainly causing havoc, but again, they are the tip of the iceberg. Understanding how Revel and Lockbit work are indeed important, but the gangs we don't hear about are just as if not more dangerous. We can look at our infrastructure as a type of fort, and around our fort we have sort of watchtowers. So we need to know how these other ransomware gangs operate, what are the tactics, what are the procedures, so that we can reevaluate our infrastructure and our fort and see if we need to build up more new watchtowers or add more guards to those watchtowers to look after specific internet-facing services, whether it's Zoho, whether it's Microsoft Exchange, or our RDP access, or SSH access, or our database access, or our websites, etc., etc., etc. So, make sure you have a plan set out. Make sure you have documented all of the services and software that you have in your system, in your infrastructure. Make sure that you know where an attack can come, and make sure you continuously review that and review those processes against any new threat actors that you find, see what their tactics are, what their procedures are, to reevaluate your current plan, your current security wall and fortress, to determine if you need to make any modifications. With that, I say thanks for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.